Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a really massive phenomenon in our modern world. It's something I call the illusion of knowledge. I mean, think about it. We live in this era where we're literally constantly consuming information. But we really have to stop and ask ourselves, is all this reading, all this watching, actually translating into active, life-changing wisdom? Or are we just kind of hoarding facts? Well, today we're going to explore some profoundly brilliant ancient insights that challenge absolutely everything we think we know about learning, and more importantly, about actual personal transformation. Let's get right into it.
So let me ask you a beautifully direct question right off the bat. Does shouting laddu, that delicious Indian sweet, does just yelling the word actually fill your stomach? Just imagine you're absolutely starving, right? And instead of eating, you just sit there passionately yelling the name of the food over and over. It's totally absurd. No way that works. Yet when it comes to acquiring knowledge, this is exactly what so many of us actually do.
And honestly, that absurd image perfectly highlights our first major roadblock. There is a massive, massive gap between the mouth and the heart. So many of us absolutely love consuming and fiercely debating these profound spiritual or philosophical texts. We'll sit around analyzing the deepest logic, carefully preparing these intricate counter-arguments, mostly just to sound super smart at parties, right? We can speak so eloquently about truth and virtue, but our actions? They tell a completely different story. Our words sound incredibly impressive, but our hearts just remain entirely unchanged. To really picture this, consider the ancient metaphor of the greasy pitcher. Imagine a clay pot, okay? And it's been thickly coated in grease and oil. Now take that pot and submerge it deep into the sacred, rapidly flowing waters of a river like the Ganges. What do you think happens? Well, because of all that grease, it repels every single drop of water. It is sitting directly in the middle of this powerful current, yet it stays completely dry inside. And this is exactly what happens when people listen to profound wisdom with an arrogant or superficial mindset. They're sitting right in the flow of knowledge, but they absorb absolutely nothing. Which leads us perfectly to the paper flowers analogy. You see, superficial learners can actually fake it for a while. They can deliver these amazing, eloquent sermons. They can quote impressive statistics off the top of their heads. And initially, they attract a lot of admirers. It's exactly like bees being drawn to bright, colorful paper flowers. But here's the thing. The bees only hover until they discover the illusion. Once people realize there's no real nectar there, no actual substance, no genuine character backing up those fancy words, they abandon them in a heartbeat. And this builds into a pretty stark contrast. On one hand, you have the total foolishness of a donkey carrying a massive, incredibly heavy sack of delicious sweet treats on its back. The donkey bears all of the crushing weight, all the absolute burden of carrying those sweets, but it never actually gets to taste a single one. Contrast that with the real sweetness of just sitting down and enjoying the food. When we just hoard academic facts and spiritual trivia without ever applying them to our lives, we are exactly like that burden-carrying donkey. We get all the heavy lifting of intellectual pride, but none of the actual sweetness of inner peace. So, the absolutely crucial point here is this concept of mental indigestion. Just think about this for a second. If you ate a huge, heavy meal and it passed right through your body completely undigested, you would panic. You would immediately view it as a severe disease. You'd rush straight to a doctor, no questions asked. Yet, we consume endless wisdom, literally hundreds of books, hours and hours of lectures, without digesting a single behavioral change. And we walk around thinking we are perfectly healthy. We completely and utterly ignore our own mental indigestion. And the problem is honestly only getting worse because of our modern environment. Today, we have endless cheap books, the internet, highly accessible experts everywhere. We are practically drowning in easily obtainable information. Yet, think about the ancient seekers. They managed to acquire profound, world-altering wisdom despite a complete lack of formal resources or search engines. So how did they achieve such deep understanding without any of our modern conveniences? Section 2. Nature's Open University, where true seekers find their professors. So, how exactly did those ancient seekers find wisdom? Well, they realized that nature itself is like a wish-fulfilling tree of knowledge. If you have genuine, burning curiosity, the world itself literally transforms into an endless classroom. There are silent teachers everywhere you look, laughing trees, babbling rivers, proud mountains, gentle breezes. To a prepared mind, these aren't just pretty background scenery. They are profound educational tools. Ancient sages like Dattatreya, they didn't rely on massive, dusty libraries. Instead, Dattatreya found 24 different gurus by simply paying deep, deliberate attention to the everyday natural wonders around him. He observed animals, birds, the elements themselves, and learned incredible lessons about detachment and peace.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the power of active observation. Take the story of Buddha, for example. Millions of ordinary people see old men, sick people, and corpses every single day, right? And they feel absolutely nothing. It just washes right over them. But Buddha, he had a prepared, reflective mind. When he witnessed these chronological steps of human suffering, he didn't just look away. He deeply reflected, asking himself, wait, will this happen to me? That single, piercing moment of digesting reality triggered a profound transformation and ultimately led to his renunciation.
Or think about Swami Dayanand. His ultimate spiritual awakening wasn't triggered by sitting down and reading some complex ancient scroll. Actually, his eyes were opened simply by observing a tiny, totally ordinary mouse hopping around on a sacred statue. In that exact moment, it hit him. The divine presence couldn't possibly be limited to a carved piece of stone. Its power had to be entirely omnipresent. It's wild, but everyday events carry incredible, life-changing lessons if we are truly awake to them. But there is a massive catch here. As the saying goes, you can wake someone who is sleeping, but who will wake someone pretending to sleep? Life is constantly sending us these educational messages. But if we maintain a stubborn, arrogant attitude, if we falsely believe we already know everything just because we've read a few books, we actively block out this divine knowledge. We pretend to be awake, which actually makes us completely impossible to teach. This builds into such a powerful contrast. Let's look at figures like Valmiki. He started off profoundly ignorant, literally living as a criminal. But because his mind was genuinely open, the second he received true knowledge, he completely transformed into a revered sage. Now compare that to figures like Ravana or Shukracharya. These guys possessed massive, unparalleled intellectual knowledge, yet they remained stubbornly arrogant and deeply, deeply flawed. This powerfully proves that an open, ignorant mind is just far, far superior to a closed, highly educated one.
So, what is the ultimate game plan here? What's the solution to this illusion of knowledge? It is the deliberate, daily practice to read some, reflect some. This means actively pausing our endless consumption to internalize what we've just heard, to self-reflect on our own personal flaws, and to actively translate that knowledge into real, lasting behavioral change. True wisdom isn't about memorization at all. It's about destroying evil habits and cultivating true, lasting inner harmony.
Which brings us to the close of our explainer today. And I want to leave you with a really direct challenge. Will the knowledge you consume today transform you? Or will it just pass right through? Are you going to be the greasy pitcher, completely untouched by the wisdom flowing all around you? Or are you going to pause, step back, and actually digest what you've learned? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me. Now, go out there and do some reflecting.